Hey guys, um, have you ever thought about paying someone to do product photography for you? That was just something that I had never really occurred to me. Um, and I don't think Alice would because she has like big stuff to do.
Yeah.
So we've always just been DIYing it, but apparently you can hire people for that.
Yeah.
I did hire someone once to edit my photos that I took until I learned how to do it myself.
Mhm. And I
Yeah.
have, I can't remember. I don't remember if I paid her any money, but a lady was doing a big. She was hiring models, um, and doing a wedding photo shoot. And so, like a bunch of us that had items that would be appropriate for the occasion of a wedding. And like for me, it was that you could do a custom painting as a wedding gift for the couple or from the couple or whatever. Um, so I participated in it. And I know, like in some of my handmade seller groups, then a lot of people will do that kind of thing and hire people for that. But definitely a lot more like lifestyle type
Yeah.
in the moment kind of photography.
Those
With
are tough. Yeah.
yeah, that I mean, I wouldn't try probably to do that myself. Um, but yeah, for simple, just like, hey, this is my painting. No. So, and partly when I got started, like I live closer to a big city now, but when I got started, like there wasn't anybody around. So I'd have had to have, shipped things or, yeah, I mean, so it just wasn't a sustainable thing. And of course, I'm a big, well, I could probably figure it out person anyway.
Well,
So,
and I want it done now. Like,
yeah.
okay, I've decided to do this. We have
Or
30
I
minutes.
need it for XYZ that I need to do next. And yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So,
So
but
we're just going to talk about a few tips that we're using and
mhm,
resources, whatever. Alice has a different process than I do. And
yeah.
maybe that's because we live in different places. I don't know.
But and I think that because we both use natural light, we primarily go outside and do most of our product photography. I will, especially if it's windy, because here in Texas, West Texas, it can be very windy. Um, and so if I'm doing something small and light, then it's going to have to be indoors or else it's going to wind up, 3 counties over. So I'm going to maintain possession of the thing. So, but light itself is not constant. So it depends on the time of day. And we were talking and we decided we better start and record and finish our discussion while we were videoing it for your edification as well. I am at a much further south latitude than Seneca is. So what I don't know, I do know just from my artistic training that the light is cool in the morning and it is warm in the evening. So partly you can use that to your advantage. If you're doing lifestyle shots and you want a warm glow, then try doing that more towards dusk, right before dusk, but or in the afternoon. So for when I'm photographing, photographing, I'll get the right words out. My artwork, I want the colors to be very true to what the piece actually looks like. So that way it's, you still have monitor disturbance, but it's still hopefully as close as possible for people looking to purchase it or prints or whatever. So I always photograph my stuff as close to noon as possible because that's when the light is the most neutral. So, and I photograph mine in the shade, but Seneca does hers differently. So
I don't necessarily look for noon, although that's probably my optimal time, but I'll look for whenever there's a cloud cover because
mm,
shade just seems to be too dark for me. I don't know what that's about and why Alice pulls it off and I can't. But I'm looking for an overcast day or something it's bright, but it's still overcast.
and for me, and I'm quite a bit further south. I think we said that. So I don't know if there's just more light here. But then does that matter during the time of year? There's a lot of these things we don't. I think you'd want to definitely, if specifics in your photos that you need to use them as is, and you don't have any way of adjusting the light balance and all of that kind of stuff matters, then I would pay close attention and do some experiments wherever you are, so that you can get the most consistent. I think it's more important that your lighting is fairly consistent across your products. So and that's like, you can see that in Seneca's store. All of her bottles have a white background, and that it's very consistent. So it's very appealing and looks very professional. So I think probably as long as it's consistent, that's the most important thing. So if I don't like it, I throw it in Photoshop. So so,
and that is how you get a consistent, professional looking photo, is that plain white background. No disturbance, no other things to look at, no shadows, no nothing.
Yeah.
And then, going into the lifestyle shots, those are really nice to have as long as you already have that white background one. And what we mean by lifestyle is your product being either displayed somewhere or in use somewhere, or
like the flat lays that are pretty popular now, where it's your item laying on a flat surface with a bunch of other complementary things that accentuate it, or
like your artwork in a room with furniture. And
yeah,
it just depends on the product. Clothing, we've seen that a whole lot with models. That would be,
and a lot of, if you've got a nice clean image to start with, then you can find mock-ups that you can plop stuff in. So for artwork, a lot of people do that. There's different apps and things like that you can just plop it in, and then you can choose whatever kind of room setting that you want to use for that. Other people have rented Airbnbs, and that's so, I mean, you got to really know that place is going to have a good style that's going to be what you want. And I'm sure probably get the permission of the host as well. So,
and be prepared to haul in your lighting, because who knows what they have.
Yeah, I have not done that, but it is a thing. So
that'd be too much for me, I think.
Yeah, that just seems really that just seems overwhelming to me. So I'd rather.
Although you could treat it like a vacation and get in the hot tub when you're done photographing, which is and it's a write-off. So hey,
bribe yourself. Bribery works, I tell you. If I take 10 more pictures, then I can go in the hot tub. Yeah.
So one of the lifestyle things, once I get my transparent background on my image, I'll plop that into different things too. It's pretty easy that way, easier than setting things up. I have set things up. I've, put my flowers around the bottle and taken those pictures, and those come out pretty good. So it's just a lot harder. You have to be creative, and you have to think about it, and you have to figure out what things you have and what things you need. And then you amass all this stuff that you got to hang on to because you have it and you might need it again. Props.
yeah, all your props. So, and one thing that you might also, another alternative for product photography that other than outside, is to use a light box. And they have commercial ones, or I actually made one out of just a cardboard box. So one time, what I didn't like about it was then I couldn't tear down the cardboard box without ruining it. So then you had to store it. And so I abandoned that fairly quickly. But if you have small items, that would be something to look into. And then you can get very consistent lighting if you've got actual lights and that kind of thing. So
I have a light box and I hate it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just
Well,
seems like it doesn't save me anything. I like to just go outside and lay my bottle down on something with a contrasting color, meaning none of the colors in the background are the colors in the item.
mhm,
And then I'll shoot that with my iPhone and then I'll remove the background. And I use Remove BG for that, but there are lots of different editors that'll do it.
mhm.
Just that that one happens to be free.
Yeah. And easy and effective. So
Yes. I've tried some of them and there's a lot of fiddling, but that one seems to just get it.
mhm,
But part of that is knowing how to take a picture that will work for that too.
mhm. And what you said for any kind of photo editing thing, and that's why the green screen is it's such an obnoxious green. If you've ever seen them, they're horrible, but it's because it's not a naturally occurring color. So it is not going to be in whatever thing that it is that you're
Mhm.
taking a photograph or video of. And so it's easy to eliminate that from or replace it with a background of your choice.
Yeah.
So, but you don't have to use one of those. Just like Seneca said, you can just, as long as the color isn't in there, then it's something that is going to, not that you can't do it if there are similar colors, but it's going to require a lot more work. So save yourself as
Right. Yeah.
much effort
And
as possible.
you can do pretty well. I have small items. I don't know if you do, but
Mhm.
a 12 by 12 stack of different colored card stocks has served me well for a long time.
Yeah. And for me, because most of my artwork is rectangular, so I don't tend to be concerned about what the background is at all. So I just am gonna crop it to the face of the work. So that's if I was gonna do like you're seeing behind me, where I wanted to show the depth, then I would have to like hang it on a wall like they are now or something like that, because um, that would be a little, well, I mean, I could still cut it out fairly easily because they are rectangular. Just draw a line around it and erase everything else. But so the one thing too to be aware of is the angle of your camera relative to the angle of the thing that you're doing, because there can be perspective distortion with more three-dimensional objects. That probably isn't going to be as big a concern. But like for my artwork, if I want it to look square, then I need to have the lens of the camera, and your phone works, or parallel or as close to parallel as possible with the work.
Yeah.
So and it kind of depends. If I've got a bunch of work that I'm going to take pictures of, then I will set up a tripod and I will set the angle exactly, and I'll get an easel to put the work on, and I will get very precise. Most of the time, if I'm just doing a couple of things, then I'll just eyeball it and then I'll tweak it in Photoshop. So that it, is back to its normal shape. So, but it really, and I think most phones, most cameras, they have a white balance. So you can, have a pure white piece of card or paper and tell it like, this is white. So then it should register most of your colors to be pretty accurate. So
That helps.
Mhm. Yep. I don't always remember that. And then I take stuff and I'm like, why is everything gray? I'm like, oh,
Yeah. Well, that happens to me, and that's why I just remove backgrounds.
yeah. Yeah.
And then, once you remove a background, you need to put it on a background. So I just have a white square that I use,
Mhm.
or I'll move it like we were citing on the lifestyle things. I'll find a situation where the bottle might look natural in, and I'll stick it in there.
Mhm.
And I use Pixlr.com, Pixlr X, because I don't have Photoshop and I don't have anything photo related. So that's free on the web.
Yeah.
And you can do quite a bit in there. If I knew how to do what I needed to do, I'd probably be off to the races, but I do good enough to get by.
Yeah. Well, and that's, you know, I have the Adobe suite just for some of the other work that I do. So I'm more accustomed to that. So that's what I use because that's what I'm used to. But it's for most of this, it is vast overkill. So I wouldn't recommend if you're just doing it to edit photos or that kind of thing, then like Seneca said, check into those, or there are multiple. I think yeah, there's multiple apps and programs and things like that that you can get for free or much less expensive that will do a perfectly fine job for you. So, and this is another one of those things where done is better than perfect.
Yep.
And you're going to get better and you're going to figure out what works for you. So definitely don't. I've tried, and I'm sure Seneca has as well. I've tried multiple things over the years until I'm like, okay, this is what works best for me. So, but
yeah. So yeah, you don't need fancy stuff and you don't need to be a pro. You just need to get going.
Yeah.
And then,
yeah. And if you want to later, if you know, if you're just really want that, like just an extra layer, I think it's probably going to be more critical if you have luxury goods, very high dollar items, then it might be worth it both financially as well as perception wise to hire a photographer to photograph things.
If we need to see all the sparkles and the little faucets of your gemstone jewelry, then yeah.
Yeah. So because different types of materials, you know, reflect and refract light differently than others. So that can add complexity if you're dealing with transparent items or things like that. So, but for most of us, and especially getting started, then just jump in and go. So,
yeah. And you'd want to start with just that basic, you know, flat, just your product first, and then from there get into some lifestyle so people can really gauge how big the whatever it is or how you would use it, or you know, see it and how it would work in the life. But I've also wanted to graduate up to some little demo videos. And one of our students in the class the other day had a really good example. She was showing us on our weekly Zoom. She just had some dresses that she made and they were hanging on a clothesline and the wind was blowing. So you really got a feel, even though you couldn't touch the fabric, you could get a feel of the weight of it and how floaty it was. And
yeah,
it was just a whole new layer to what she was doing, which I think really helped.
Yeah, I think so. And again, you know, your cell phone camera is going to produce a high enough quality video for that. So, and there are different editors for those that you can kind of clip off the beginning and the end if you want, or take a chunk out or whatever. But I think more and more, because video is becoming more common, that is something that's helpful for people to kind of give that 3D feel for something that you can't really with a photograph. Even the lifestyle ones are not quite the same. So, and that's, you know, even with my artwork, you know, that might be something I should think about doing for my more textured pieces, to kind of move around at different lights so you could see the texture of the surface and things a little bit better. So,
yeah.
But you know, again, I think just like we both have perfectly functional sites without the video currently. So you can, you know, start with the one thing and then you can add additional layers of appealing visual choices for your customers as you go. All righty, we'll talk to y'all next time.